Now let's get to the firefighter ambush in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, which is a famous location for actual anti-Semitism, not like the fucking fake, like, oh, I don't like Israel conversation. Was the head of operation for Atomwaffen. I mean, it's like a fucking neo-Nazi, white supremacist, white nationalist breeding ground.
Breaking developments, Idaho authorities have identified the shooter accused of ambush.
Yeah, I live in Idaho and I've been to Coeur d'Alene and there are literal Nazis, like proud Nazis with swastika flags. Yeah. I'm not saying like, oh, they're Nazis because they're like fascist Republicans or racist. I'm saying like actual fucking straight up swastika wearing Nazis.
And killing those 2 firefighters in the mountains by Coeur d'Alene on Sunday. A 3rd firefighter who was also shot is now fighting for his life after surgery. The local sheriff says they believe that the shooter, who was later found dead, set a brush fire to lure the crew to the site and then opened fire on them. Here's dispatch audio as the attack unfolded.
Some law enforcement right now, there's an active shooter zone. They're shot. BC3's down, BC1's down. Everybody's shot up here. Law enforcement, code 3 now up here.
CNN's Mark Morales is here now with breaking details on this. Mark, what are you learning about the suspect?
Well, Brianna, we now know who law enforcement thinks did this shooting, and they've identified Wes Raleigh, 20 years old. He's from the Idaho area. And as you know, the identification in this kind of a situation is very, very important because now investigators can take that full court press and really try to figure out what the motive here was. They could do search warrants on his home or places of business.
I mean, my instant speculation when I heard where this happened was that, oh, this is 100% not like an Iranian sleeper cell or anything like that the media can fucking even present. And very much the type of person that does engage in the anti-Semitic violence, the fucking neo-Nazis. But it turns out, and I thought initially, there's no way that this is like a fucking 20-year-old, given where this happened and the significance of the area. I thought it wouldn't be like a 20-year-old, but like a 45-year-old, you know, former military, because that's usually the profile of this type of activity. This is like old school white supremacist, Aryan nation type activity. Turns out it is a 20-year-old.
Business, or they could even talk to loved ones, people that he knew, anything that can help them really dig into why he did this. Now, law enforcement was able to.
The reason why I want this question, because you keep asking this question, okay? Because once again, process of the ceasefire talks is going well is bullshit. So if you answered this question before, I'm sorry, but if you want to answer this, the situation keeps getting worse. What are the other options to stop this genocide? The reason why you keep asking this question is because I feel like you're doing Fed bait. Like you're asking this to, I don't know, entrap someone or something. Okay, just keep up the pressure. That's it. Just keep up the pressure. Okay, what is the fucking answer that you want from someone like myself in front of 30,000 people? What is the answer? What do you think I should say here? Keep up the pressure. Participate in boycott divestments. Keep educating people. That's it. Call your politicians and keep showing up to protests. Okay, comrade of the worker. Motherfucker's like 3 minutes away from being like, here's the location of Tenorite and a stash of weapons that I hid. Come on, comrade, pick up the arms. Stop too. He just like kept spamming it over and over again. What happens when the phone call doesn't work? What happens when the one phone call away doesn't work? What happens when it doesn't work? Because it seems like the ceasefire is not imminent. You're supposed to lube it up a little bit before you put it in, dude. What is this? I got the federal government up my asshole, and this motherfucker in the chat is like, hey, comrade. Hello, comrade. Could I give you a helping serving of direct military action against federal facilities? Like he's having this conversation in a fucking War Thunder Discord server or something. Like he's just doing it in front of 37,000 people. Maybe he's just a fan who's disillusioned. 20-year-old Groyper shooter in Ohio. So crazy. Who would have seen this coming? I am surprised. This is funny. Comrade Crunk, would you be willing to hurt someone for Zoran? Hey, HasanAbi, can you say it into the microphone? I couldn't hear you clearly the first time.
to trace his cell phone signal, and that's how they were able to pinpoint exactly where he was on the mountain. But just as important was that initial 911 call. That's how first responders were able to learn not just a treasure trove of information, but that they were walking into a hornet's nest. Take a listen.
We've got 2 unresponsive battalion chiefs, gunshot wounds, multiple gunshot wounds. 2 Coeur d'Alene firefighters are down. We need law enforcement to get up here. We could possibly get the 2 wounded out. I'm pinned down behind Battalion 1's rig. It's clear to me that this fire was set intentionally to draw.
Now, Raleigh was found dead with a firearm near him, and we're still waiting for more details on this. But as we know, investigators and law enforcement are really pushing to figure out what happened here. Brianna?
Have they gotten a hold on that brush fire that they...
Who targets firefighters? Nazis. Nazis with a bone to pick. Nazis who still have some smoke for the firefighters that I suspect they were angry about for destroying their like the previous where is it? Or maybe it's I don't know. Sheriff suspect the shooter ambushed firefighters who asked them to move vehicle. I don't know. Something about this doesn't add up. Something about this does not fucking add up. Jason wrote, like, everything adds up. The only thing that everything that adds up, but the only thing that doesn't add up is the profile of the shooter being 20 years old. That's the one thing that is confusing to me. And I suspect we'll find out more about his family and whether or not they were involved in the upcoming days. Jason Rowley, the alleged far-right terrorist Wes Rowley's dad, who he was allegedly living and working with, seems to be a veteran who's a Nazi biker. Wes Rowley's father appears to be Jason Rowley, a former Army Cavalry scout and biker gang member who Wes likely was living, working with in Idaho. Yeah. His father fits the profile of the type of person that would be more willing to do something like this. This is what he posted, by the way. Jason Rowley. Find your terrorist first name. First letter of the name, Ahmed. Second letter of your last name, Goldfucker. Like, no irony here, you know? I don't know if it's relevant, but yeah, today's the anniversary of the Aryan Inferno when firefighters burned down the Aryan Nation security house as a training exercise. I don't know if this is related to that though, but that does set up a motive. Oh, Jesus Christ!
They say he set, Mark?
Well, that's a really interesting part of this whole situation as well, because that fire increased to 26 acres overnight. And when you think back to how this all started with Raleigh setting this fire, first responders can't put that fire out because they're being shot at. So it was in those initial moments that this fire probably could have been contained by now, but now at this point has reached and really, as we've seen, gone up to about 26 acres. And that's also an issue because, remember, because of this shooting, it's a crime scene. So investigators were having to pick up evidence as quickly as possible because there was a fire all around them. This fire is a significant issue, and if they weren't being shot at, who knows how quickly they could have put this under control. Brianna?
Yeah, certainly. Mark Morales, thank you for the very latest on that.
Investigators in Idaho are looking for a motive after a suspect ambushed fire.
Why are you streaming someone else's content while being away? Basically just stealing. Dog, did you wait for the literal 10 seconds that I walked away from the camera? Like while I'm basically still in the room. Like I was just away from the camera to say this. That is insane. Like it is shocking. Also stealing what? CNN? Like what are you talking about? They don't give a shit. I can't believe how stupid these fucking haters are. It's actually shocking. Fucking bot.
Firefighters, killing 2 of them. A third is in the hospital in stable condition. Police say they were lured by a deliberately set brush fire that's still burning. The suspect was found dead hours later with a gun nearby.
No, the tattoo doesn't say MS-13 also, chatters. It's 1488. He's a fucking Nazi.
Steve Moore is with us right now. He's a former supervisory special agent with the FBI and a CNN law enforcement contributor. Steve, this is a very unusual situation. Have you ever seen anything like this before, where someone allegedly starts a fire, firefighters come, and then this individual allegedly starts shooting at those firefighters?
Well, you know, I actually did work a case back in, 20 years ago, where there was a man who was bent on destroying an oil refinery. And his plan was to start a fire at the oil refinery and shoot firefighters as they came in. But his plan was so that the fire could go out of control. This guy's different. This guy's situation is different because what he's trying to do is simply kill the firefighters. The fire itself was a lure, not the end goal.
Tell us more about how the investigation proceeds from here, given all the circumstances at play.
Well, you know, what's interesting to me is yesterday they said between 3:15 and say 7:45, right around there, they knew that phone was up there and they knew that it wasn't moving. So they knew they had a pretty specific target there. And during that time, 4.5 hours, they already knew the number of the phone, obviously, and they did a lot of investigation in that 4.5 hours, which helped them to determine, before they even got to the body, whether there was going to be accomplices, a potential motive, things like that. So they knew a lot about the person they were looking for before they even found him.
Yeah, just so disturbing.
Very disturbing.
You know, I mean, why would you go after a firefighter?
Something about the information that we're being presented doesn't add up, especially considering his stepfather, I think, or his father, being a fucking neo-Nazi. The man suspected of ambushing firefighters who responded to a blaze set on Canfield Mountain, fatally shooting 2 and seriously wounding a 3rd, did so after firefighters asked him to move his vehicle. First responders who rushed to a grass fire on the east side of Canfield Mountain Sunday quickly found themselves under attack from a gunman who shot from a tree. Authorities confirmed Monday that Battalion Chief John Morrison in the Coeur d'Alene Fire Department and Battalion Chief Frank Harwood of Kootenai County Fire and Rescue were fatally shot in Sunday's attack. Dave Zidal, as an engineer with Coeur d'Alene Fire Department, was wounded and remains in critical condition. Police identified the shooter was Wes V. Rowley, 20 years old. He had previously lived in California and Arizona, but had resided in the Coeur d'Alene area since 2024, police said, apparently living out of his car. Around 300 law enforcement officers from local, state, and federal agencies converged on Canfield Mountain after the shooting. While the suspected shooter was at large, fire crews were unable to approach the blaze and community members were stuck on the mountain. Hours after the fatal shooting and subsequent standoff, police used a cell signal to hone in on Rowley's location, finding him dead with a shotgun nearby and flames closing in on his body. Police said Rowley appears to have died by suicide. Rowley's motives remain unclear Monday. Kootenai County Sheriff Bob Norris said no manifesto has been found so far. He noted that Rowley was once wanted to be a firefighter. We don't know if there's a nexus between that and what happened yesterday, he said, adding that investigators have not found any record of Rowley applying to any local fire agencies. Rowley had family in Priest River, according to KCSO. He did grow up in an arborist family and they climbed trees, Norris said. Rowley's grandfather, Dale Rowley, told KXLY TV that his grandson was an avid hiker who worked for a tree company and was interested in forestry. Before Sunday's attack, Rowley had 5 very minor interactions with local law enforcement, including 2 interactions with Coeur d'Alene police and 3 with sheriff's deputies. Norris said that the interactions occurred after community members called in welfare checks while Rowley's vehicle was parked on private property. Rowley was cooperative during his past contacts with law enforcement, Norris said. He had no criminal history in Idaho or the 2 other states where he resided. During a news conference Monday afternoon, Norris showed a photo, he said, was posted on Rowley's Instagram story shortly before the shooting. The story feature allows Instagram. The photo appeared to show Rowley dressed in camo pattern clothing with a mask covering the lower half of his face. Norris said Rowley's Instagram account is now deleted, though it's unclear whether Rowley deleted the account himself. Second headline has quote from the chair of the county on the Aryan link in the last bullet point. Spokane could ban warrantless ICE arrests on... Wait, what? Oh, what we should know about the Idaho fire and shootings. To bring you up to speed, about midday, June 29th, police say a gunman set aflame to the dry forest. What the fuck? Dry forest on Canfield Mountain, just east of Dalton Gardens, between Coeur d'Alene and Hayden. As the blaze spread and firefighting crews were investigating how to fight it, he opened fire on them, killing 2 and wounding 1, who was in critical but stable condition. Sunday evening, local, state, and federal law enforcement immediately responded, and a short time later, the shooter was dead. We don't know whether he died from police gunfire from the shooting himself. No, they said that he shot himself, right? They said he shot himself in the head with a shotgun. There's no evacuation order at the moment, but the fire is still burning. Kootenai County Sheriff Bob Norris advised local residents to monitor. Several news agencies, including Coeur d'Alene, Post Falls Press, have identified the suspect as 20-year-old Wes Rowley. We'll be digging into the story in the coming days. About 300 law enforcement agents responded to the scene, including at least one Spokane. Are you happy? Based immigration ICE agent. Most were stationed for several hours at Cherry Hill Park on the east side of the ridge. What the fuck was an ICE agent doing? Range saw the following law enforcement agencies on scene. Federal Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, ATF, U.S. Border Patrol, U.S. Marshals, Washington State Patrol, Idaho State Patrol, Spokane County Sheriff, Kootenai County Sheriff, Liberty Lake Police Department, Spokane Police Department, Post Falls Police Department, and Kellogg Police Department. The shooter's body was located via a stagnant cell phone signal by a federal surveillance helicopter at 3:16 p.m. and scooped up about an hour and a half later. Though investigators are still trying to determine a motive, Bruce Mater, the chair of the Kootenai County Board of Commissioners, referenced Coeur d'Alene's long history with white supremacy in a press conference. He said his comments were inspired by media speculation that the shooter could be influenced by white supremacy. Here's a lengthy quote from Mater, which references activity by Aryan Nations, a white supremacist hate group that was headquartered in Hayden and was later dismantled largely by grassroots activism. June 29, 2025 is a day that we will not forget in this community. It is the day evil showed his face, and we lost two outstanding professionals of the highest quality. I cannot fathom why anyone would commit such a heinous act. This kind of senseless violence is unheard of here. This is not who we are as a community, and when we hear how others portray the people who live here on the news, it's not true. What happened here decades ago is not reflective of the fine people who live here today. I want everyone to know that this is a wonderful place to live. The reason why he's saying that is because everyone immediately suspected that this was a fucking, Aryan Nation style shooting. Wait, were the firefighters Nazis? No, man. What the fuck? And no, the reason why I'm saying this doesn't add up is because, not to say that there isn't, I'm not implying that this is a false flag or something. What doesn't add up is the shooter's background. It's shocking. If this was like a revenge killing against the fire department for burning down the former Aryan Nation stronghold, right? Then a 20-year-old is not going to fit the profile of a shooter because it happened a long fucking time ago. That is the work of an older former military vet, neo-Nazi, more so something like his father, Wes Rowley's father, Jason Rowley, former Army Cavalry Scout and biker gang member who Wes was likely living/working with in Idaho. Yeah, Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, northern Idaho. Who was it again that made their base of operations for the past handful of decades? Is the Aryan Nation or Atomwaffen, right? Coeur d'Alene hate groups arrests extend North Idaho's long history with extremism. 31 members of a white nationalist group were arrested in Coeur d'Alene. Members of the Patriot Front, a group described by the Southern Poverty Law Center, described as a white nationalist hate group, were arrested downtown near a Pride in the Park event when the police pulled U-Haul truck and found the members. There's a lot of fucking Nazis in Idaho. There's been a lot of Nazis in Idaho. There still are a lot of Nazis in Idaho. This type of Nazis. Today is the anniversary of the Aryan Inferno, when firefighters burned down the Aryan Nation Security House as a training exercise following the demolition. Activist Greg Carr built the Human Rights Education Institute on the grounds of the neo-Nazi compound. But that was in 2001. This kid wasn't even alive at that point. Do you understand why I said this doesn't make sense as a reason? Unless someone else was involved. Do you see what I'm saying? But yeah, of course, predictably, right-wing grifters are already lying about the Idaho shooter and claiming he's trans. Gotta muddy the waters to make sure accurate information doesn't get out. Yeah. I think the uncensored shirt here is him wearing a Trump shirt, by the way. I'm pretty sure who said it was early on this morning? Now, his dad is a neo-Nazi, and I think he has a stepfather as well. And his stepfather is even more interesting. His stepfather is it's not a Trump shirt. Oh, it's his dad's tree service. I thought it was a Trump as Rocky shirt or something. Tack Train don't just put up Norse shit and say he's a neo-Nazi. Brother, what are you talking about? Like, he's a neo-Nazi because he's a part of a neo-Nazi biker gang. Further, Jason Rowley, a.k.a. Wolf Voorhees selections, this time a pic of him and a fellow Army cavalry scout in Afghanistan. Another one where he's holding a copy of the Necronomicon next to his skull. Actually, I think his hand tattoo just says Wes. This dude's mother sure had a wonderful taste in men. Honestly, pretty fucked up vibes in general and the whole family. Also, a lot of Nazis are into like Nordic shit, including historical Nazis. Like the actual old school Nazis, like 1930s Nazis, were also deeply invested in like redefining German mythology by associating their own shared history, their own shared mythology with like Nordic runes and shit like that. So yeah. Anyway, we'll find out more about this story in the next couple of days, unless something even more insane happens again. After all, it wasn't that long ago when a fucking right-wing guy went and killed Minnesota lawmakers, like tried to assassinate every Democrat in the fucking state. And then the Republicans were like, nah, that's Antifa, actually. And then that was it. That story happened not that long ago. It's crazy that like we're done with that story. Oh, there's a Jon Stewart piece on the there's also leaked chat show pro-Israel extremist group Beitar organizing street confrontations. Be on the lookout for this. Internal discussions include plans to burn Qurans and attack pro-Palestine protesters with pepper spray. Far-right activists, including members of Beitar, a pro-Israel extremist group known for racist violence, have been running a constellation of WhatsApp group chats to plan counter-protests against pro-Palestine demonstrations and commit potential hate crimes against Muslims in New York City. The chat share with drop site by an anonymous member added to the groups by an organizer illustrate a network of pro-Israel agitators coordinating street confrontations and provocations. Chat log shows members, including individuals publicly affiliated with Beitar US, discussing a range of plans and ideas. To protest at mosques, to burn Qurans to provoke confrontations, and coordinate buying pepper spray, lasers, and other illicit devices to confront pro-Palestine protests in New York City. The covert conversation took place over the past years. The city of New York became a flashpoint for conflict between pro-Palestine and pro-Israel demonstrators. This was that famous video. Remember the lady who harassed me? Asaf from New York says, remember the lady who harassed me for saying I can do whatever I want, I'm Jewish? Talia and Murtaza Hussein got her group chat showing that she and her friends planned to harass mosque attendees, burn Qurans, and even create fake pro-Palestine accounts online. If you want to understand how fucking insane Beitar is, the ADL considers them a threat. The ADL considers them a fucking extremist group, by the way. This ADL thinks Beitar is too much. Because they are. They're a fucking terrorist organization, 100%. Beitar US also appears to have had some coordination with local government, with one member stating that they were forwarding information to a local state assemblyman. In the same chat, others shared that they're collecting information on pro-Palestine activists to forward to the Department of Homeland Security as well as ICE. At least one active member of the chat claims on our public LinkedIn page to have been an NYPD cadet. Beitar US claims to have a sizable membership. However, actual membership, leadership structure, and activists remain opaque, with much of their public activity centering on a small group of far-right provocateurs inciting violence and hate against pro-Palestine protests and Muslims in New York City. The group wields considerable political influence nonetheless. They obviously aided the Trump administration's deportation program targeting student protesters and claim to be providing names to Israel's Parliament of Jewish Americans to ban them from entering Israel. That one is really funny. Anti-Zionist Jews that they say they're sending to the Israeli Knesset to never allow into the state of Israel. This is what I meant saying Islamophobia by Jews is at a worse level than it is from Christians earlier in the day. No, this is one psychotic group, dude. What are you talking about? We just saw the fucking neo-Nazi dudes murk firefighters. There are not that many Jews in anywhere at the end of the day. It's not a large enough group to make up a significant number of the fucking Islamophobic hate crimes, especially in comparison to far right far-right neo-Nazis. The group has offered bounties on prominent Palestinian activists and boasted about harassing mosques. The group's incitement earned them an extremism label by the ADL, a fellow pro-Israel organization with a separate history of targeting pro-Palestine activists. Yeah, the ADL and Beitar duke it out with one another because they both want someone like myself arrested and potentially deported, despite the fact that I'm an American citizen. One wants to do it in a more hands-on way where they like directly, actively confront me physically. The other wants to do it through the legal route. You know, that kind of situation. Yeah, they're like, this grift is not, this town ain't big enough for the both of us. Both will call the manager at some point. Based on public records and social media activity, it appears Beitar US is largely, if not solely, active in New York City, with much of their energy centered on countering local pro-Palestine demonstrators. Group chat members operate under their real names and phone numbers, which drop site verified and redacted. After members learned portions of their conversation have been made public, they urged each other to change their names and phone numbers to obscure their identities before purging the chats. Dropsite obtained the chat contents prior to the purge. While the chat logs obtained by Dropsite are not explicitly referred to as Beitar US chats, numerous individuals within the chats have publicly identified themselves as members of Beitar US, including the founder and a prominent New York City public relations firm, Ron Tarosian, or have been tagged in media published exclusively and originally from Beitar US accounts. Stephanie Benchamal is listed as an administrator of the group chat, including several Beitar US members called United Zionists, which is both a group chat and one of the skeleton organizations that often appears on counter-protest flyers originating from these group chat members. Benchamal recently appeared in a since-deleted video on social media attempting to instigate confrontation with volunteers for the New York City mayoral candidate Zohran Mamdani. If you recall, Beitar itself published that video in which she literally told the person, I can do whatever I want, I'm Jewish, which I thought was very funny. Condemning optics, not violence. In the chat, the topic of protesting mosques was frequently discussed. We are most definitely marching in front of a mosque, one individual identified as Andrew Ziedman said last summer. Certainly very pro-Trump, pro-America groups would enjoy engaging goat fuckers, he added, using a slur to refer to Muslims. Hit them when they're not expecting, replied far-right activist Dana Andrea Morgan, who identifies herself as an NYPD cadet. Morgan is credited with creating and distributing a flyer for a protest against a mosque in Brooklyn. The protest sought to harass a Muslim house of worship in retaliation for a protest against an illegal land sale event that took place at a synagogue earlier this month. It was widely condemned by local politicians, including Mayor Eric Adams, who counts Beitar founder Ron Tarosian as an associate. Self-proclaimed Beitar U.S. founder Ron Tarosian chimed in, noting that Beitar would not endorse the protest, citing security reasons. We are against mosque marches at this time. Unless we have more people, it's unsafe. They were worried that they get their ass beat if they did that. That's funny. They're like, hey, listen, we love doing hate crimes. Okay? But we can't do it right now because we simply don't have enough people to do a hate crime. Because if we do a hate crime, we're going to get our fucking ass beat. Read the first paragraph of Danny Danon. What? Oh, he was a former leader of the World Beitar Organization. I didn't know that Danny Danon was a former leader of the World Beitar Organization. Oh, terrorist children. These children. Well, he's moved on to bigger and better things. My favorite dipshit. Danny Danon. Why? Are you anti-Semitic? Remember that flyer to harass a mosque? Beitar claimed it was fake. No one in the community knew about it, except they did. Beitar founder Eric Adams for New York City, an associate Ron Tarosian, said privately Beitar couldn't endorse it because they didn't have numbers at this time. The chat show, it's so funny that these guys are desperately trying to do like hate crimes against Muslims, but they just don't have enough people. Like the reason why people went to a synagogue to protest wasn't because it is a Jewish place of worship. It was because they were selling stolen land, illegally selling stolen land in the West Bank. Okay? Obviously, you're not going to be able to get the numbers to just like randomly commit a fucking hate crime at a mosque. Like, bring American and Israeli flags, please. But also, we can't really do that because we don't have enough numbers. Come on, guys. Come on. Like, Beitar guys are probably freaking out that Zohran Mamdani won the primary because they're like, we really don't have the numbers at all. The chat show what's been plainly obvious on the ground, but lately ignored by city admins. There's a group of far-right extremists and Islamophobic bigots explicitly coordinating to incite violence against pro-Palestine demos, people, and Muslim spaces in New York City. The chats also give insight into Beitar, a racist extremist group that loves to post inciting content online and claims to be providing deportation lists of student activists. The chat suggests Beitar, like United Zionists run by Stephanie Benchamal, Lions of Israel in America run by Ronan Levy, and the rest of these illegible logos. Beitar seems largely skeletal, the facade of unified organization much smaller than advertised. That also makes sense as to why there's always like 3 guys at these fucking counter protests. Like, whenever there's like a fucking mass mobilization that takes place and there's like hundreds of people minimum, if not thousands, there's always like 3 lone dudes being like, 3 lone dudes trying to fucking fight and then run behind the cops. It's genuinely shocking that all of Beitar's members could not have elected Whitney Tilson. I thought they had the numbers. Yeah. Half of the people I'm willing to bet in these group chats are already people like Brace that are fucking, you know, reading the group chats so that they can make podcasts about it, or Talia, so they can deliver reporting on it to Drop Site. Like, they don't have any fucking motion. It's literally like 1 to 2 rabid Islamophobic psychopaths. Also, why would you take matters into your own hands when the American government is on your side anyway? You know what I mean? That's why I never understood like the pro-Israel rally that took place in DC. It's like, what do you want? More genocide? You literally are getting everything you want. You don't do a protest if the government is on your side. Then it's just a parade, you know? It doesn't make any sense. That's the reason why they don't have any numbers, because it's like, even if someone were to agree with them, they'd be like, why would I put my life on the line? Why would I identify with this publicly when everything I want is already happening? Like, not included in the reporting, but my favorite part is where they blew up the chats because one of them thought I had gotten access after a random account posted selection screenshots from the chat. They thought they had booted me by that point. I was never in the chat. There were multiple people who were in the chats leaking from them. Some of it sparked by that call to harass a mosque. When Brace and Talia become fake members of Beitar to lampoon or report on them, Beitar's total membership probably goes up 25 to 50%. That's the other thing. It's got to be hard. Oh, yeah, this was funny. When, Beitar Worldwide posted this after Zohran won. Evacuate New York City. Come home to Israel. And then, wait, I think so. Yeah, Yaakov Wolf said, you first. And then the account responded, we're already in Israel. Imagine if Muslims were planning to attack a synagogue. Yes, I can imagine, especially because people have, not just Muslims, pro-Palestinians have mobilized against not like random synagogues, but synagogues that were engaging in an illegal thing, okay? An incredibly immoral and incredibly illegal thing, such as selling stolen land in the West Bank, okay? And that was roundly criticized as an anti-Semitic hate crime, which is crazy. What is the actual crime is that a place of worship is being used as a mechanism of displacement and land theft. What the fuck? Yeah, this is what I was talking about. We urge all Jews to evacuate New York City. You first. We are in Israel. Also, Beitar's onto something with this one. ChatGPT is woke and pro-Palestine. Yeah, it's just like a bunch of schizo dudes, man. They just like get together and fucking talk about how much people hate Israel or something. Like, that's all this is. I give no fucks with blinding these motherfuckers. Do it. No, he is not a no hats off. He sucker punched a female while she was bending down. She put off the fire. F her. Who has the connections to ICE? In my opinion, many should be arrested. Oh, I'll smoke a joint off the burning Quran and a burning pic of Nasrallah, lol. We are most definitely marching in front of a mosque. I have recruited major non-Jewish allies who will join me. Let her be confused. We will also be marching in front of her. All jokes aside, directly responsible for harming Columbia students. They reached out to government officials to facilitate Mahmoud Khalil's kidnapping. We demanded elected officials, including the mayor and the comptroller, to address this before someone is killed. Jessica Tisch, the police commissioner. There is something that happens, like, I don't know what it is. Like, there is just something that happens to your fucking brain where you just become like a genuine villain when you seek out the defense of the indefensible, which is the apartheid state of Israel and its genocide of the Palestinians.